Footnotes from the Life Application Study Bible. Jewish families would go through several ceremonies soon after a baby's birth. 1. Circumcision. Every boy was circumcised and named on the 8th day after birth. Circumcision symbolized the Jews' separation from Gentiles and their unique relationship with God. 2. Redemption of the firstborn. A firstborn son would be presented to God 1 month after birth. This ceremony included buying back or redeeming the child from God through an offering. This way, the parents were acknowledging that the child belonged to God, who alone was the power to give life. 3. Purification of the mother. For 40 days after the birth of a son and 80 days after the birth of a daughter, a mother was ceremonially unclean and could not enter the temple. At the end of her time of separation, she and her husband were to bring a lamb for a burnt offering and a dove or pigeon for a sin offering. The priest would sacrifice these animals and declare her to be clean. If a lamb was too expensive, the parents could bring a second dove or pigeon instead. This is what Mary and Joseph did. Jesus was God's son, but his family carried out these ceremonies according to God's law. Jesus was not born to live above the law. Instead, he fulfilled it perfectly. When Mary and Joseph brought Jesus to the temple to be dedicated to God, they met an old man who told them who their child would be. Simeon's song is often called the Nunc Dimittis, from the first words in its Latin translation. Simeon could die in peace because he had seen the Messiah. The Jews were well acquainted with the Old Testament prophecies that spoke of the Messiah's blessings to their nation. They did not always give equal attention to the prophecies stating that he would bring salvation to the entire world, not just the Jews. Many thought that Jesus had come to save only his own people. Luke made sure that his Greek audience understood that the Messiah had come to save all who believe, Gentiles as well as Jews. Joseph and Mary were amazed when this old man took their son into his arms and spoke such stunning words. Simeon said that Jesus was a gift from God, and he recognized Jesus as the Messiah, who would be a light to the entire world. This was at least the second time that Mary had been greeted with a prophecy about her son. The first time was when Elizabeth had welcomed her as the mother of her Lord. Simeon prophesied that Jesus would have a paradoxical effect on Israel. Some would fail because of him, while others would rise. With Jesus, people would have no neutral ground. They would either joyfully accept him or totally reject him. As Jesus' mother, Mary would be grieved by the widespread rejection he would face. This is the first note of sorrow in Luke's Gospel. Anna was called a prophet, a title indicating that she was unusually close to God. Prophets did not necessarily predict the future. Their main role was to speak to God, to speak for God, proclaiming the truth. Although Simeon and Anna were very old, they had never lost their hope that they would see the Messiah. Led by the Holy Spirit, they were among the first to bear witness to Jesus. In the Jewish culture of this day, elders were respected. Thus, because of Simeon's and Anna's ages, their prophecies carried extra weight. In contrast, many societies today value usefulness over wisdom and current information over valuable experience. Contributions by the elderly are often ignored. As Christians, we should respect people's dignity and value wherever we can, regardless of age. Encourage older people to share their wisdom and experience. Listen carefully when they speak. Offer them your friendship and help them find ways to continue to serve God. Did Mary and Joseph return immediately to Nazareth, or did they remain in Bethlehem for a time? Apparently, several years passed between Luke chapter 2, verse 38 and chapter 2, verse 39. Ample time for them to find a place to live in Bethlehem, flee to Egypt to escape Herod's wrath, and return to Nazareth when it was safe to do so.